And now liberals declare war on Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Okay, my friends, holy shamoli. Ron DeSantis, meet Donald Trump. Holy shamoli. So, my friends, as you know, DeSantis now is expected to announce his run for president of the United States sometime this week. According to media reports late last week, over the weekend, he has made a decision to run. Now, I'm going to wait to comment until he actually does throw his hat in the ring, which I think is now almost inevitable. Tim Scott threw his yesterday. It looks like Chris Christie now will announce any day now as well. So the Republican field is starting to get crowded. But what is clear is that the media now and the Democratic Party have engaged in a strategy. They have a plan. And the plan is as follows. Put Trump behind bars. Make sure that he cannot run in 2024 by putting him in jail. And then do to DeSantis what they've done to Trump. Dirty him, smear him, use relentless, vicious smears and propaganda to so make him toxic that the United States will, that the American people and in the United States, he will be perceived as the second coming of Adolf Hitler and the rise of the Fourth Reich. And if you think I'm exaggerating, I want you to listen now. This is an unfreaking believable story. For months, they've been attacking him. They've been vilifying DeSantis. They attack him. They attack his wife. They attack his family. Florida now has become unrecognizable in terms of the public consciousness. The way the media and the Democrats talk about Florida, you think it's the second coming of apartheid South Africa. Well, now it's gotten even worse. The NAACP, which, by the way, to me has been a worthless organization now for I don't know how many years, but let that go. The NAACP now allying itself fully with the Democratic National Committee and with the entire corrupt liberal establishment media are now portraying Florida you want to talk about propaganda, portraying Florida in such a horrendous way that I'm telling you, no resident in Florida, you're going to welcome to Donald Trump's world. You have no idea the state that you're living in. You're sitting there and saying, I don't recognize my state the way it's being now portrayed. The NAACP has issued a formal travel advisory. I'm not kidding. A formal travel advisory regarding Florida, i.e. Florida is now so dangerous, so racist, so bigoted, so white supremacist, I'm not kidding, that now they're advising blacks, quote unquote, African Americans, I'm going now from the travel advisory, African Americans, people of color, and the LGBTQIA plus community to avoid Florida at all costs. That they are being marginalized in Florida. According now to the NAACP, they are being persecuted in Florida. And they're advising everybody around the country to wage an economic boycott on Florida. Do not visit Florida. Do not travel to Florida. Do not go on vacation to Florida. Do not hold a convention in Florida. Because if you do, it is like investing in the old apartheid South Africa. I'm not kidding. You are upholding a racist, white supremacist system. According to the chairman of the NAACP Board of Directors, quote, Florida under Governor Ron DeSantis has now become hostile to blacks and is in direct conflict to the democratic ideals that were the foundation for this union. In plain English, in Florida now, and we have a big audience in Florida, huge. You may not know this, but you're living now in the Fourth Reich. You're living now in the recreation. It's South Africa, apartheid South Africa 2.0. And they're telling everybody, if you're black, if you're a minority, if you're LGBTQ+, get the hell out of Florida. Because the Gestapo, the KKK, the shock troops of white supremacy are coming for you. You want to talk about disconnected from reality. You want to talk about, frankly, outrageous, sickening propaganda. You want to talk about inflaming hatred and division. And this is what I told Sandy. I said, and by the way, the media now is in lockstep. The media, you got to see this. So I want you to think about what they're doing. What they're doing, this is the relentless propaganda campaign. This is now the big lie. This is the mass manipulation from the media. We did it to Trump. We're going to put him behind bars. Now we're going to do it to Ron DeSantis. We're going to make sure that by the time we're done, it's going to be racist Ron. When you say Ron DeSantis, the first thing that's going to come to your mind, like a Pavlovian dog response, conditioned response, racist, 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 racist. Now, it doesn't matter that he's loved by minorities in Florida. It doesn't matter that he won the Latino vote. It doesn't matter, by the way, I don't know if you know this, Florida has now become the number one spot in the entire country, black-owned businesses. African Americans, blacks are prospering in Florida better than any other area in the entire country. Chicago, New York, Baltimore, Washington, Los Angeles, all of these blue states and blue jurisdictions. Blacks do infinitely better in Florida. It's not even close than they do in all of these blue areas. But no. It's now the second coming of the KKK. Segregation, white supremacy, neo-Nazism is now rearing its ugly head in Florida. Why? What did Ron DeSantis do to deserve now the mantle of the new Hitler? I thought Trump was the new Hitler. No, Trump is going behind bars. Now it's DeSantis who is the new Hitler. What did he do? He removed critical race theory from the schools. That's it. Literally, he did two things. He removed critical race theory from the schools, which teaches that white people are innately evil, irredeemably evil. It's a pure racist doctrine, and that everything must be seen through the lens of race. People must be judged by the color of their skin, and that America is a wicked, evil country. And Ron DeSantis looked at this and said, this is the poison you want to feed our children? To judge each other by the color of their skin and not the content of their character? To teach them to revile and despise their very own country? And absolutely not. This isn't education. This is Marxist indoctrination. This is pure communist hate. And he says he's banned diversity, equity, inclusion programs in both public school, elementary, secondary, or middle school, high school, and in colleges. In other words, no socialism or affirmative action. In Florida, everyone is equal under the law. Everyone has equal rights. Everyone has equal opportunities. Now, for the sin of going up against the radical left, for the sin of dismantling critical race theory and diversity, equity, inclusion, it is now Operation Destroy Ron DeSantis. Listen now to the president of the NAACP was on CNN saying, no. We are telling people your life is not valued. Minorities, blacks, avoid Florida at all costs. How much time left, Mike? Okay, forget that. I'm going to play the cut on the other side, I promise. Talk more next. Boston's bulldozer cleaning up the liberal bull. Okay, just super quick reset. 617-266-6868 is the number. Tim Scott is now in. Senator Tim Scott yesterday officially announced his candidacy to be the Republican nominee. Chris Christie will be in any day now. And, of course, the big one, really the only one considered to have any kind of a shot challenging Donald Trump is, of course, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Well, as I pointed out in my opening monologue, it's now the strategy. I mean, they're not even sophisticated about this. There's nothing even 2 or 3 dimensional to what they're doing. Put Trump behind bars, just get him out of the way, and then do to DeSantis what they were able to successfully do to Trump, at least in the eyes of the liberals and the eyes of the media. Make him toxic. Unleash a barrage, a relentless campaign of slanders, smears, and demonization, and turn him into this absolute racist, white supremacist, neo-Nazi. And that's now what they're doing. It's been nonstop. It has been going on for weeks, ever since they basically got wind of the fact that DeSantis is now going to be a nominee, a candidate for president. They fear that once Trump is put behind bars, DeSantis will emerge as the Republican nominee. So they don't want DeSantis. They don't want Trump at all costs. The NAACP, in an incredible move, you want to talk about fear-mongering, you want to talk about out-and-out hysteria, has now issued a formal travel advisory telling everybody, but especially blacks, people of color, LGBTQ community people, get out of Florida, and don't go to Florida. Whatever you do, don't go for a vacation, don't go for a convention, don't step foot in Florida. You may not make it back out alive. Roll cut. This is the NAACP president, Derek Johnson, on CNN. Roll cut to Mike.
The governor has perfected the art of doing stunts to gain campaign contributions. Unfortunately, this will impact people's lives. We should not use race or othering as a tool to weaponize against people. And unfortunately, for a large percentage of the Floridians, that's what he has done. Therefore, we are advising African Americans and others that if you travel to Florida, beware that your life is not valued, that we have a political landscape that could cause harm as we prepare for the 2024 elections to right-size the political landscape in the state of Florida.
This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. On social media, it's even worse. Black people are threatened in Florida, and under Ron DeSantis, Florida now is in direct conflict with democracy and the democratic ideals upon which our union was founded upon. So now DeSantis is a threat to democracy, and a threat to blacks, and a threat to people of color, and a threat to LGBTQ, i.e., hello, Adolf Hitler 2.0, or in this case, after Trump 3.0. Listen now to Derek Johnson, NAACP president, this race baiter. Listen now to this. Roll cut 3, Mike.
We have talked to our members in the state of Florida, partner groups, individuals in the large African-American communities. And so for many, they were asking, what should we do? And we understand that many conventions are going to be held in Florida. So we are advising our members and others that if you go, be cautious of how you operate in the state. That if you have another choice to hold your convention, consider a place outside of Florida.
Now, think about this, okay? You know who they're hurting? They're hurting black business owners. As I said in the opening monologue, the number one spot in the entire country for black businesses is Florida. Florida. So if you're going to boycott the state, no tourism. And by the way, tourism is the number one source of investment in Florida. Farming, they have other things, obviously, but tourism, numero uno. So if you're not going to travel to Florida, you're not going to vacation in Florida, you're not going to have conventions in Florida, who do you think you're hurting? I mean, obviously you're hurting everybody, but in particular, you're hurting black businesses. You're hurting not just the black owners of those businesses, all of the employees, the workers who have jobs, who need the income to feed their families, put food on the table, keep the lights on, keep a roof over their head. Never mind the black communities that they serve. Now, but you want to see what a bunch of phonies these people are? How disgusting all of this is? The top 3 people at the NAACP. Let's start with the bottom. The vice chair of the NAACP National Board of Directors, Karen Boykin Towns. Yep. You know where she lives? Clearwater, Florida. In fact, on her social media, they go, here's your vice chair chilling in Clearwater, Florida. And there she's at a beach with sunglasses. I don't know who the person beside her is, some guy. He's got the sun. They're smiling, having drinks. I don't know. They don't seem too oppressed to me. The chairman of the board, Leon W. Russell of the NAACP, you know where he lives? Tampa Bay, Florida. And the guy you just heard, the president of the NAACP, you know where he lives? Tampa Bay, Florida as well. Okay, it begins. DeSantis derangement syndrome. They believe now they're going to put Trump behind bars. That's clearly now with the Democrats and the media, the DNC. This is their strategy. So now they have to create DeSantis derangement syndrome. Russia, not going to work this time. So paint him as a white supremacist, bigot, racist, a neo-Nazi. So the NAACP, to now its eternal shame, has now issued a formal travel advisory in Florida. I'm not kidding. Here is exactly what they wrote. I'm giving you now their statement. Under the leadership of Governor DeSantis, the state of Florida has become hostile to black Americans and in direct conflict with the democratic ideals that our union was founded upon. He won in a massive landslide. He crushed his Democratic opponent. He even won predominantly blue counties. So, I don't know what you're talking about. He even won the minority vote. He won older vote, younger vote, minority vote, the white. He won with women. He won across the board. How is this guy now a threat to democracy? Now, furthermore, I want to play the cut again. this is the clown that acts as the president of the NAACP. You want to talk about a phony and a fraud. I want to play the shorter version. This is him on CNN. Roll cut 2A, Mike.
We are advising African Americans and others that if you travel to Florida, beware that your life is not valued, that we have a political landscape that could cause harm as we prepare for the 2024 elections to right-size the political landscape in the state of Florida.
Okay. Well, then you got to leave. He lives in Florida. The president of the NAACP, as he's issuing this travel advisory and saying, don't come to Florida, don't vacation in Florida, don't do conventions in Florida, don't visit Florida, just stay away from Florida, boycott Florida. He lives in Florida. The chair of the NAACP, the board of directors, the chairman, Leon Russell, lives in Florida. The vice chair, as I pointed out before the break, she lives in Clearwater, Florida. And all of them have pictures on their social media sites. I'm not kidding. They're at the beach. They're under an umbrella. They're sipping pina coladas. They've got the sunglasses, the shades, the baseball caps. They're soaking in the sun. I'm like, you don't seem too worried to me. To me, you don't live in apartheid South Africa. You flee apartheid South Africa. So, as the Florida Republicans have now wisely done, they go, okay, if we're such a horrible state, if this is, oh my God, the second coming of the KKK, well, we're going to pay for your moving expenses. Because let me tell you what leadership demands. If you don't want others to come to Florida, if you want others to leave Florida, then you should do the exact same thing. But apparently it's not too racist for you. It's not too oppressive for you. It's not too much of a terrorist state for you. You phony, you frauds, you. And let me tell you what it shows. And this to me is the embodiment of liberal hypocrisy. They do this again and again. They say things they clearly don't mean. You can tell by their personal lives. What they say and what they do are two different things. And all they know how to do is churn out propaganda and false, vicious smears. That's all. If this guy believed 1/1000th of what he was saying, he wouldn't be living in Florida. He doesn't have to live in Florida. Believe me, they make very good salaries. There's so many other places they can go live. Who wants to voluntarily live in a racist, white supremacist state? Nobody does. But they're not oppressed. They know they're not oppressed. In fact, I'm telling you by the pictures and by their homes and everything, they look to me like they're doing very well in Florida. So here they go. Try to smear Ron DeSantis and by extension smear Republicans and smear the entire state of Florida. And they know everything what they're saying is a lie. But you see, for the Bills in Sudbury and the Bens in North Andover, for the Democratic base, they get their marching orders. And before you know it, Florida bad, Florida racist. And they repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. Not because there's any truth to it. And it's all in a day's work. That's how it is for these Democrats. And he did his little shtick on CNN. He issued his little dinky travel advisory. And you know what he did? He went right to the beach in Florida. He lives in Tampa. Derek Johnson, the president of the NAACP, lives in Tampa Bay. And he went right out there to a nice cafe, hit the beach. There he is. Boy, let me just relax. Oh, before the stormtroopers grab me, yeah, throw me in a concentration camp, yeah, let me stretch out there, yeah, make it a double. Sure, Charlie, make it a double on the rocks. It's unbelievable. Now, they're even willing to destroy people's lives. And Sandy and I were talking about this off air, and I got to say, Sandy was dead on. She goes, they lie. They live in Florida. They love living in Florida. They know that Florida is a great state to live in. They know blacks are not in jeopardy. They know you're not going to get murdered or massacred or killed or oppressed. There is no apartheid or segregation in Florida. That they're spewing pure racist hate and garbage. But it's the businesses, it's the black employees, it's other people's lives who are going to be utterly immiserated and destroyed by this. Listen now to CNN's Sarah Sidner asking NAACP President Derek Johnson, the guy who lives in Florida, well, hold on. You know that this is the number one place in the entire country for black-owned businesses. Blacks are thriving in Florida. So when you're saying don't come to Florida, don't invest in Florida, don't travel, don't vacation, don't do conventions, you're hurting black businesses, the employer and the employees. Listen to his response. Roll cut for Mike.
Florida Chamber of Commerce sent CNN a statement about the advisory that the NAACP that you all sent out. And here's sort of what it says. Regarding the national group's notice to certain travelers, we have no comment. However, on the economic diversification front, in just the last few years, Florida has moved into the #1 spot in the United States for black-owned businesses, and #2 for Hispanic, and #2 for women-owned businesses as well. When you hear those numbers, what they are saying is, look, African Americans and Hispanics are doing quite well here when it comes to running their own businesses and being able to make money here and being able to live decent lives. How do you address that with this new ban?
First of all, that's propaganda language. Over the last several years, it wasn't because of anything he did in policy.
So, okay, it's propaganda, but he can't refute the numbers. So it's just, in other words, I don't want to hear it, fingers in his ears. I don't want to hear it, But then, hold on, he then tries to make another argument. Listen now to this. Roll cut for A, Mike.
Florida, by geography, is an attractive place where people would like to go. But he's fighting the largest company in the state with Disney around tourism. They just pulled out $1 billion. He is minimizing the quality of education by taking away the diversity for children to learn. He has sought to cause harm by saying that every citizen can carry a gun without permit. Those are not business attractive policies. Those are regressive policies that's going to hit a dead end. So you can spin the whatever language you would like to have. The policies that he has put in place are harmful policies to far too many individuals.
Yeah, right. That's why he keeps winning with massive majorities, right? But let that go. Okay, fine. Here. You don't like his policies. That's your right. This is the United States of America. But how is this suddenly now a racist state? How is this now a white supremacist state? How is this now a threat to democracy? And more than that, even if you don't want to give Governor DeSantis any credit for anything, why do you want to initiate a boycott that will hurt blacks, black employees, black businesses, and the black community? You're the NAACP. Don't you care? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, the new media offensive has now begun. It is now destroy Ron DeSantis, now that they know for sure he will be a candidate for president of the United States, and they're going to go to the Trump playbook to do it. Brand him as an evil, racist, bigot, white supremacist, neo-Nazi. I'm not kidding. Florida now as the new apartheid South Africa. You have a travel advisory now issued by the NAACP, even though the president, chair of the board, vice chair of the board, they all live in Florida. If it's so bad, leave. I mean, if it's as bad as you say it is, then there are many other places to live in the United States. But apparently it's not that bad. The media, however, is now jumping on the bandwagon. It is time now to smear him, slander, dirty, taint him, do to him false, relentless propaganda, what they did to Trump. Listen now to Democrat strategist. This is an incredible cut. Democrat strategist Aisha Mills on MS Left BC. Roll cut 6, Mike.
I think it was extremely clever, and I really appreciate the NAACP's guidance on this issue. You know, I just took my family to spring break in Florida recently, and I think about all of the folks who traveled there for sun and joy and peace and restoration. And to be reminded that actually this is getting to the point where Florida is about to be a terrorist state to many of us here in America. Certainly as a lesbian, as a black woman, I don't want to have anything to do with the place.
So why did you go? I mean, they don't mean what they say. I mean, it's so obvious. So why did you go? Someone put a gun to your head and said you must vacation in Florida? So it's a terrorist state, but she took, she and her family, they went right down to Florida. The sun, the sea, the water, it's all it's the place of restoration and peace. Yeah, or AOC. Oh, don't go to Florida. Ron DeSantis is governor. Oh, they're horrible people. They're racist. They're bigots. And where did she end up going for vacation? Florida. They don't mean what they say. And they lie, and it's constant false propaganda, and they get paid well to lie. And so here you have this buffoon going on television, and they didn't even realize the contradiction. Stay away from Florida. It's a terrorist state. White supremacy. Evil. Evil. But I had a great vacation there. I had a blast. Absolute blast. Oh, nothing beats the Florida water, the Florida sun, the Florida air. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. So, I want to ask you, double-barreled question, Kuhner Country. Number one, for those of you living in Florida, for anyone who's visited or traveled to Florida, do you feel like you're living in a terrorist state? Because that's what they're, a terrorist state. That's what they're now saying. Do you feel that you're living or traveling to a racist, white supremacist, neo-Nazi terrorist state? Because that's what the media and the DNC are now trying to convince everybody. So I'm just curious, does that mesh with your real world experiences? And number two, will they succeed in making DeSantis, in the eyes of liberals and the left and Democrats, as absolutely toxic and radioactive as Trump? Are they now going to create DeSantis derangement syndrome like they created Trump derangement syndrome? Will they succeed? Will this new propaganda campaign, this clear manipulation campaign, will it work? Or do you think the country now is finally onto them? 617-266-6868 is the number. Mel in Saratoga. Thanks for holding, Mel, and welcome.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. Thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure.
Yes. Jeff, I always say to you, I'm not an African American. But I'm an American who has to be black. I have no desire to go to Africa. I ain't never been to Africa. I wasn't born there. And that all that the Democrats and people in general like to refer to blacks as African Americans. But as I said, myself and millions of others who feel the same way, we're not African Americans. We're Americans. Just and plain and simple. But we who are responsible for the ways that we live and pay, on our own, pay our bills, pay our taxes, do what we got to do to raise families. We're not buying that BS, and they know it because all the Democrat Party has is death and destruction. They don't have any solutions to anything, and we're getting tired of it. It's not that we were looking for anything to be promised to us. All we want to do is live our lives, be left alone, and stop this racial driving the racial wedge between the races here in the United States. That's all they're doing, Jeff. I mean, it's obvious. And as you said, these people are phony the $3 bill, and they want to downgrade and slander the state of Florida. I mean, Ron DeSantis. I got my issues with him because without President Trump's endorsement, he wouldn't be sitting in that governor's seat. So, and then him being beholden to corporate America, and he's got Jeb Bush and that Bush, so-called what's left of that dynasty backing him. I mean, I can't trust this guy as far as I can throw a grand piano over President Trump. President Trump, we lived under 4 years of peace and prosperity. I mean, things were working, things were snapping, things were moving. And that's just his I mean, it may not be just his policies, but that's his attitude. That's his way of life for everyone. He doesn't care whether you're black, white, or grizzly gray. He just wants you to stand up, get up, and do things for yourself. Don't depend on the government because those who are dependent on the government, they can't move from those blue state strongholds, which are now hellholes. But those, as I said before, who work for a living, do the right thing in life, they have a say, well, for instance, my granddaughter's grandparents on her father's side, they both worked in the New York City Correctional Department. And when they retired, so they lived in the Bronx, when they retired, their house went up for sale, and right down in Orlando, Florida, they bought home, and that's where they are today. So, I mean, millions and millions of,
Mel,
in New York
sorry,
City.
Mel, I don't mean to cut you off, but I got to ask you this. So when they worked and, earned a paycheck, paid their taxes, and eventually sold off their home, they retired like many to Florida. Mel, are they calling back and saying, my God, Mel, we got to leave? Mel, the racism. Mel, the white supremacy, the terrorism. Oh my God, it's lynchings everywhere you go. The NAACP is right. Get out of Florida. Avoid Florida. Because if you're a black person, you're dead. Are you hearing that from them, Mel?
Nothing further from the truth. Nothing further from that what you just mentioned. It is a lifelong dream to do what you have to do. What they've done, basically, to say, in the northern state of New York, and move out and retire in a place that you don't have to get up and when it's 30, we'll say 10 degrees below zero, 10 degrees, shoveling sidewalks and things like that. No, my granddaughter every Christmas, she'll, they'll get on the plane to fly in Florida. That's where they're going. I mean, they're not under the strict. They love it. It's a dream, Jeff. It's a lifelong dream to get the hell out of New York or any of these Democratic run states that are being run into the ground and move to what we want to call American paradise, where the weather is consistent year round.
I'm with you. Mel, I'm with you. Mel, thank you very, very much for that call. look, again, not a question of Trump versus DeSantis. We're going to do that, I promise, when DeSantis announces. And I promise we'll be discussing this for a long time. Look, Florida is a low-tax state. It just is. Good law and order. It's the safe. The streets are a hell of a lot safer in Florida than they are in New York. I guarantee you that. That I guarantee you. They got a very good, solid education system. They've got a lot of investment, a lot of opportunity. The economy is booming in Florida. They keep saying, well, it's the weather. It's the weather. Yeah? Compare Florida to California. In California, the weather's even, if you want to know the truth, I think the weather in California is much better. Why? Because I don't like humidity. California has dry heat. So I think, frankly, California's weather is better, if you want my honest opinion. So what? They don't have mass homelessness in Florida. They don't have out-of-control crime in Florida. They don't have people urinating and defecating on the streets in Florida like you see all over California. I mean, I could go on and on and on. So this idea that somehow, oh, it's the weather. No, it's a hell of a lot more than the weather. But look, again, listen, leave DeSantis out for a second. You don't like him. You don't like his policies even. I do, but let that go. Why call for a boycott? Why would you want to do that? Here, the Kuhner man. Have I not opposed the policies of Massachusetts, the crazy moonbats in this state, ever since I've gotten here? Have I ever called for a travel advisory? Have I ever said, don't vacation in Massachusetts? Don't come and do a convention here. Don't do tourism here. Don't invest here. Run away from here. In other words, why would I want to impoverish my fellow citizens in Massachusetts? Why would I want to do that? Now, I've pointed out, yes, you have massive taxation, crippling regulations. You harass businesses, they're going to leave. Taxpayers are going to leave. But I've never called for a boycott of the state. Why? I don't want to destroy people's lives. Why would I want to do that? So, to me, it's the mindset. And on top of it all, if I'm going to tell people, oh my God, oh, it's a terrorist state. Oh my God, you step foot in Massachusetts, you're dead. You're dead. Well, Jeff, if that's the case, why are you living in Massachusetts? Like what? You want to be lynched? You want your children to be lynched? You want to be shot dead on the street? Now, I disagree with many of the policies, of course. And I argue and I make my case and we fight it out in elections and all of this. And, you know, maybe in an ideal world, yeah, I'd rather live in a red state than a blue state. No question about it. But I'm not going to impoverish people. How can you do this to black businesses? I'm talking NAACP now. Everybody's affected. But in particular, you're supposed to be a pro-black organization, in theory. How can you do this to black businesses? To the black community? To black workers, black employees who work at these black businesses? And then it turns out the freaking president of the NAACP lives and parties in Florida? The chairman and the vice chairman of the board of the NAACP lives and parties in Florida? But they're telling everybody, racist! Oh my God, oh, it's a terrorist state! Oh, there's no democracy in Florida. It's Alabama 1954. You're a liar. You're a liar. Because if you believed an iota of what you said, you wouldn't be living in Florida. And the point is, they do this about everything. They lie and lie and lie. And the point is, they now want to turn DeSantis into the second coming of David Duke. That's the whole point of all of this. Now, you prefer Trump over DeSantis. I get it. I prefer Trump over DeSantis, but he's not David Duke. Come on, that's obscene. It's character assassination. And notice, now they're just repeating it. Like with Trump, just repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. And eventually, people will just start believing it. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree? Jose in Quincy. Thanks for holding, Jose, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How's my connection?
Your connection is loud and clear. Perfect. Go ahead, Jose.
Who are they hurting, Jeff? You hit it on the head. And I'm so glad that Mel from Saratoga called in before me. Because who better than a black man? Well, someone with relatives in Florida. And I hope there are some black listeners in Florida that will call in to debunk all this garbage. And I want to end it by saying, you phonies, you frauds, you.
Amen. Amen. Jose, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. Here, let me just slightly I know we have a national audience, but for people here in Massachusetts, okay? The north end of Boston, right? Heavily Italian, some of the best Italian food, I'm telling you, you will ever eat. Really, it rivals the stuff that you can get in Italy. I'm not kidding. Now, imagine you're the head of, let's say, the organization for Italians on the North End, and you put out a travel advisory, and you're saying, oh, to everybody, don't come to the North End. Oh, you're going to be lynched. Especially if you're of Italian descent. Oh, the bigotry. Oh, the racism. Oh, my God. Just avoid the North End. Don't come to the North End. Don't come there to eat. Don't come there to see a show. We don't want you to come. No conventions nearby, no tourism, no nothing. Who are you hurting? Yourselves. So you're going to wipe out all of those Italian restaurants and Italian-owned businesses in the North End? Does that make any sense to you? Well, that's essentially what the NAACP and others now are trying to do in Florida. Because you don't like Ron DeSantis. To score cheap political points. They obviously, I'll tell you what it is. They believe they can put Trump behind bars. That's what this is. We can put him in jail. So who'll be next? DeSantis. Well, let's take care of him. It's pretty obvious they fear DeSantis. They don't fear him as much as Trump. They're not trying to put DeSantis in jail. Trump, they're going to try to put in jail. DeSantis, though, they're giving him the Trump treatment from 2015 on. Racism, racism, racism. And just repeat. Bob in Plymouth. Thanks for holding, Bob, and welcome.
My call, Jeff, as always. Everything you're saying is factual, and all these people that head the NAACP, live in Florida, you're the only one that's going to talk about this. Nobody in the mainstream media or The View or any of those other channels are going to talk about this, what lies these are.
Well, that's true. And I'm going to get to Tim Scott a little bit later. Not so much because I'm supporting Scott. I'm not. Obviously, you know me, I'm a Trump guy. But the way they're now viciously attacking Tim Scott for deciding to run. And by the way, I think he's really running for vice president. I think he's looking to maybe be Trump's VP. I don't think Trump should take him as VP. But my point is, look, he's making a good faith effort to run. He's raised money. He's got some support. I saw his speech in Charleston, South Carolina. Now, he's not my kind of Republican, far from it, but it was an uplifting, inspirational, frankly, powerful, moving speech about being born in poverty, raised literally by a single mother, the hardships they experienced, and now he's one of the most powerful senators in the country. And as he eloquently put it, I am living proof of the lies of the left. I am living proof that liberals are lying. This is the land of opportunity. That if you believe in personal responsibility and hard work, and he really credits his mother worked 16 hours a day. She worked 2 jobs. And that's how she was to keep a roof over their head, food on the table. And so he says, I got that from my mother. Clean living and work hard. Clean living, work hard. And you will rise, no matter the color of your skin. And he goes, I am the refutation of everything what the liberals are saying is not true. They are destroying Tim Scott. You got to see the stuff they're saying about him. Liberals and progressives are calling him the N-word. The N-word. They're calling him an Uncle Tom. You got to see what the media is saying about him. So what I'm just trying to say is, if you're a black conservative, it is war. They got a target on your back, and they will do anything to destroy you. And so this is what I don't get. What I don't get is, don't you want story after story after story of people of color who come from, very poor, poor roots or a poverty-stricken background, and they succeed and they rise and they do well? Isn't that, to me, the meaning and purpose of America? That all of us can achieve our God-given potential if we just try and work hard enough? You're not going to see any of this in the media because it destroys the entire left-wing narrative that America is an irredeemably wicked, evil, racist country. That's why I'm covering it, and they won't, because the truth to them is like garlic to Dracula. 617-266-6868 is the number. The Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Kelly Financial Services. Do you think the NAACP's travel ban on Florida, will it hurt or help Governor Ron DeSantis? In the end, this travel ban that they have now issued, that the media is now echoing, do you think it's going to help him or hurt him? I believe in the end it's going to help him, because he's going to come after him with everything he's got. And once he starts to refute it and start laying out his record, and frankly about how successful Florida has been, especially compared to all the other blue states and blue jurisdictions, and just how absurd these accusations are, as like, for example, when we played the Aisha Mills cut, the analyst strategist on MSNBC, that Democrat saying, oh, it's a terrorist state, but we just went there for vacation, spring break, and it was a blast. Once that begins to come out, people are going to say, this is insane. But that's me. What say you? You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhner. As always, you can vote via Twitter, our handle there, at The Kuhner Report, Kuhner. Listen now, Congressman Byron Donalds, black Republican from Florida. He responds to the NAACP so-called travel advisory, their travel ban. He's practically laughing in their face, saying, you don't get blacker than me. And I have no idea what these people are talking about, what planet they're living on. Roll cut 20, Mike.
I think it's dumb. I don't even know what they're really talking about. I think they're more mad because they just don't have a voice per se through the legislature. The governor's not listening to this kind of stuff. He shouldn't listen to this kind of stuff. Listen, black Americans have been moving to Florida for a long time. They continue to move to Florida. They're thriving in our state. They're opening businesses in our state. Their kids are actually going to school, actually being educated in our state. The sky's the limit. The sun shines bright. I don't know what the NAACP...
Well, I'll tell you what's going on. Ron DeSantis is running for president. That's what's going on.
Bingo. Of course. Obviously, that's what's going on. Or else they wouldn't be... Who would be saying stuff like this? Something as stupid and so obviously false. But that's how the Dems roll. 617-266-6868. Janine in North Reading. Thanks for holding, Janine, and welcome.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Janine?
I'm making a plan to go to Disney World. Sounds like the lines are going to get a lot shorter. How do you think Disney's going to respond?
I'm sorry, Janine.
I'm curious.
Can you repeat that last sentence?
Yeah, I'm just curious. How do you think Disney's going to respond to this? You think they're going to have a dilemma between their wokeism and their corporate desires?
Well, the way they're losing money now, the way they're hemorrhaging cash, if I were them, I wouldn't say anything because they need all the money they can get. If anything, they should denounce this travel ban because the less tourism dollars, the worse it is for Disney. So if I'm Disney right now, I'm thinking we need every penny we can get right now. I mean, they're taking a beating.
Yeah, they definitely are. And I can't imagine heads must be spinning on how to respond to this one.
Janine, if you don't mind me asking, have you ever been to Florida?
Yeah, isn't everybody?
So, I mean, no, because this is now the new narrative. So when you go to Florida, do you feel, I don't know, like you're in Nazi Germany? Do you feel like you're looking at, Mississippi, 1956? Do you see separate water fountains? Do you see, I don't know, people getting lynched? Do you see blacks being oppressed and disenfranchised and exploited? I mean, do you see apartheid when you go to Florida? Because I've never seen it, but maybe you've seen it.
I've seen families having a really good time.
Yeah, that's pretty much me. That's what and I see jobs. I see opportunity. I see a booming economy. They all seem, a lot of them with happy faces, smiles. I mean, that's what I see when I go, Janine.
Don't see many frowns, Jeff.
Janine, thank you very much for that call. So again, I'd like for them to point out, show me the internment camps, show me the places where, like in South Africa, blacks are being rounded up. And, I'd like to see where all this is this white supremacy, these separate schools, separate water fountains, separate lunch counters, riding at the back of the bus. Can you show me it? Cause I've never seen it, but that's me. Maybe you Democrats are seeing something we're not. Mark in Rhode Island. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome. Hello, Mark. Okay, that's very bizarre. We have Mark, and then we just got like some little bit of music, and then Mark. Poor guy. Maybe he got caught up by the DeSantis' SS stormtroopers got him. Who knows? Those terrorists. Maybe that terrorist state finally swallowed him up. Russ in Boston. Thanks for holding, Russ, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Russ.
Yeah. First of all, Jeff, job one for the Democratic Party is creating division and transforming this country into a socialist republic. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to destroy our way of life. There's no question. You can look at one issue after another, and that's what the bottom line is with them. And, Jeff, playing the race card is really getting old. Most people with Black Lives Matter signs would fail a Black Lives Matter test. Now, let me give you a preview of the Black Lives Matter test. Number one, how much money do you raise for the United Negro College every year? Number two, how many disadvantaged black kids have you mentored over the years? Number three, how much time do you spend in the black community helping to improve the lives of black people?
Russ, you just buried them, Russ. Thank you for that call, my friend. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, Florida now under siege. So the NAACP has now issued, I kid you not, a travel ban, what they're calling a formal travel advisory. Now they say that, for their words, for black people, people of color, those in the LGBTQIA plus community, that Florida now is hostile. It is dangerous territory. People of those groups are being marginalized. They're being oppressed. It is too dangerous. And they are now advising all businesses to leave, a boycott of the state, no tourism, don't visit, no conventions, no nothing. Even though the president of the NAACP lives in Florida, the vice chair of the board of the NAACP, they live in Florida, but that doesn't matter. You phony, you frauds, you, as I like to say. No. They want everyone else to leave Florida or not come to Florida. Why? Because it is a racist, terrorist state. And Ron DeSantis is now a racist, terrorist extremist. This is from Larry in Leominster. It's a really, really good email that he sent me. Jeff, remember all of those never Trump sycophants who said it's anyone but Trump. We just want a serious candidate. Anyone but Trump. Where are they now? That's a brilliant point. And that's what I kept telling everybody. You think this is going to end with Trump? You know, everyone thinks, well, Jeff, maybe we should try DeSantis, say as an example, or Tim Scott, or Nikki Haley, or Chris Christie, or Vivek Ramaswamy, or whatever, that they're more electable than Trump. And I'm like, you don't think they're going to do to them what they've done to Trump? Look what they're trying to do to DeSantis right now. So it's not about Trump. It's about anyone that's a threat to Democratic power and the Democratic regime. If you're a Republican, they will destroy you. And they will, like they did to Mitt Romney in 2012. I mean, this is a guy who I'm telling you, he doesn't drink milk. This is a Mormon. The guy doesn't drink alcohol. He doesn't smoke. By the time they were done, the binders, the dog on the roof of the car, what is it? Some hazing initiative in high school, 14, 15 years old. The guy was the second coming of Genghis Khan by the time, and a tax cheat. You remember that? With Harry Reid on the floor of the Senate. The word on the street is he hasn't paid his taxes in 10 years. And then when confronted saying, well, that was a bald-faced lie, he just smiles at the camera after the election, says, well, it worked, didn't it? So now they're giving DeSantis the Trump treatment. They'll make anyone, quote unquote, toxic or unelectable. That's what they do. 617-266-6868. Okay. This was DeSantis just a couple months ago. Then it was just a possibility. And reporters said, well, it looks like the NAACP, they're threatening to issue a travel ban, a travel warning. Don't come to Florida. Don't vacation in Florida. Don't invest in Florida. Get out of Florida. What do you have to say? Listen to DeSantis. This was about 2 months ago. Roll cut 1, Mike.
What a joke. What a joke. Yeah, we'll see how effective that is. It's ridiculous, and we're proud to be leading the nation in tourism. This is part of the reason why, our country, it goes through all these, we get involved in these stupid fights. This is a stunt to try to do that. It's a pure stunt.
I agree with him. 617-266-6868 is the number. Nick in Weston. Thanks for holding, Nick, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
So I'll try to keep this real concise. First of all, this whole thing's a gaffe because Florida is a melting pot. The Keys, South Beach, Miami, all gay, black, melting pot. Europeans, Latins. It's a joke. Laura Ingraham, Tim Scott's saying, what? This is a joke. Laura Ingraham says it's because DeSantis announced a run. Exactly. None of this is true. It is the typical propaganda of the left. Florida had the largest increase in population since 1957. I just read it. You can look it up. They had 33 million visitors. Disney, screaming woke, they, you know, their clientele is black and gay. They're screaming for them people. Now, NAACP, some private nonprofit's going to tell people don't go to Florida. Our government, the same time they announced that, issued a travel warning for Jamaica and Colombia. How ridiculous. We all know not to go to Colombia. They should be issuing a travel warning for L.A., San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, New York City. These are dangerous places.
Or Chicago, huh? I mean, whoa. Nick, I would avoid South Side Chicago like the plague.
Yeah, just crazy. My dad's great line my whole life. What phonies? It's your line, Jeff. What phonies? What frauds? Yeah. You know, it's just ridiculous. And by the way, any reasonably intelligent American of any color or race can see right through this like cellophane. So the whole thing's bull. And the question of, will this affect DeSantis? I personally believe it will have zero effect. You say it might help him. People might think it. I think it has zero. No one's going to take this.
Interesting.
You know.
Interesting. Nick, thank you very, very much for that call. You know what I find most disgusting of all about this whole campaign now by the media, the DNC, the media? There's basically the same thing. The Democratic National Committee and their allies in the media. Look how they just keep playing the race card, pitting groups against each other, trying to sow racial hatred and division and dissension and fear and hysteria and grievance mongering. And really now, Florida's a terrorist state? You know, Iraq is a terrorist state. You know, parts of Africa. No, really, there's like, you know, Sudan is a terrorist state. Parts of Colombia, yes. Terrorism, yes. Iran is a terrorist state. Florida is a terrorist state. Are you normal? Like, really, are you normal? And you see them all, the president of the NAACP, you can look it up. Don't take my word for it. The chair and the vice chair. Not only do they live in Florida, on their social media. That's why Florida Republicans are having a field day. They're just showing picture after picture after, and I'm talking recent pictures. And they're on the beach with, you know, whatever, drinks, and there they are with the baseball caps, the sunglasses. They're just chilling, hanging out, having a great time, you know, with groups of people, a couple of them with beers. Hey, you know, I'm like, geez, huh? Look at the oppression. Look at the lynching. Look at these lynchings. Oh my, the white supremacy. How do these people survive down there? What a joke. What an absolute joke. Why? Because Florida is the freedom state. It is. And Nick is completely right. People are pouring into Florida. Do you know that New York City has lost over the last year 500,000 residents? 500,000? Many of them, it's not just the uber wealthy who are fleeing higher taxes. Upper middle class, taxpayers, business owners who have said they've had enough. Yes, they've had enough of the high taxes, but they've had enough of the crime. They've had enough of the liberal insanity, the homelessness, the drugs, just the entire disaster, the illegal immigrants pouring in, the sanctuary cities. And they're like, we're done. We just can't. Who can live like this? You can't even ride the subway without being harassed and accosted by crazy homeless people. And you know where most of them are going? Not all, but you know where most of them are going? Florida. Massachusetts, huge outflow of people. Where do you think most of them are going? Again, taxpayers, professionals, business owners, investors. Most of them, Florida. And you're going to try to tell us that Florida is the second coming of apartheid South Africa? Get lost. Like, really, seriously, man, get lost. You know, the Democrats, it's all race for them. All day, in the 19th century, in the 20th century, and now today, all they do is use racism as a weapon or a tool to divide and conquer. 617-266-6868 is the number. You can text the Kuhner Man, 70470, and as always, you can email me, Jeff. There's a sucker born every minute. The motto of the Democrat Party and any leftist organization that affiliates themselves with them, like the NAACP, really should be there's a sucker born every minute. In any other circumstance, I would say that these extraordinarily gullible people who support the left deserve the tyranny they fall for. Especially since a lot of them have been sincerely warned by people such as yourself and others, despite their arrogance and ignorance. The problem is we as Americans are all tied together at the hip. So we end up having to suffer under the same tyranny these folks get conned into supporting. Bingo. You see, that's the problem, is you have these crazy moonbats who swallow hook, line, and sinker the most outrageous propaganda and claims. Like now, DeSantis is a white supremacist. DeSantis is a racist. He's a terrorist. He's a threat to democracy. And they just, it's frightening. How many liberals just in lockstep, okay, like mindless zombies, even though they've been to Florida and they vacation in Florida and they admit they have a blast in Florida and that Florida is a great place. Here, I want to play it again just because this is liberal insanity. This is the liberal brain. You want to try to examine it? Here it is. This is a Democrat strategist on MSNBC, and MSNBC is going for DeSantis' throat. It is a jihad they've now declared on him because he's going to be a candidate the next day or two. Listen now to Aisha, hope I'm pronouncing her first name correctly, Aisha Mills, Democrat strategist. Now you tell me if you've not heard anything more insane in your entire life. Roll cut 6, Mike.
I think it was extremely clever, and I really appreciate the NAACP's guidance on this issue. You know, I just took my family to spring break in Florida recently, and I think about all of the folks who traveled there for sun and joy and peace and restoration. And to be reminded that actually this is getting to the point where Florida is about to be a terrorist state to many of us here in America. Certainly as a lesbian, as a black woman, I don't want to have anything to do with the place.
So you just went there for spring break and had a great time, but it's a terrorist state? Like, so why did you go? Who goes to a terrorist state? And who goes to a terrorist state and says, yeah, it was great. Oh, it was great. Sun, joy, peace, restoration. Oh, the margaritas. Oh, the best. Absolutely the best. I mean, you can't make this up. So half of her brain is so stupid, she's telling you, yeah, I've been to Florida, it's incredible. And then the other half is like, yeah, it's terrorism. It's white supremacy, it's terrorism. I'm lucky I left out alive. You know, I'm lucky I came back alive. Yeah, there you go. Okay? Liberalism is a mental disorder, case closed. 617-266-6868 is the number. Steve in Reading. Thanks for holding, Steve, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Thank you very much for everything you do.
My pleasure, Steve.
I'm a first-time getting through caller. I've tried to call many times. I just want to let you know I've been I'm 47 years old, born and raised in Massachusetts. The last 10 years have been very rough. 3 more days, I will be a Florida resident. We closed on our house in Oxford, Florida on Friday. I'm moving down Saturday, and I can only urge all listeners, put your house on the market. The money you make, you will be able to buy a house down there without question.
Now, Steve, I mean, what do you make of the fact now that in their attempt to try to destroy DeSantis, they're painting him, the entire state, racist, bigoted, terroristic? You're moving to a white supremacist terrorist state, Steve. What say you?
The media loves to play that. I have been to Florida many, many times over the last 5 years. We have family down there. I visit all the time. It is absolutely beautiful down there. I absolutely disagree with anything the media says about it. They're wrong, and they're lying, and they're trying to portray a picture of what they're saying. It's awful, and I highly urge anyone that can sell their house up here, take their profits, and go down to Florida. The houses are so much cheaper down there, and they are absolutely beautiful.
Steve, I'm just curious. Look, I know I've been to Florida many times. Beautiful state. My sister lived there for several years. I visited her. Beautiful. I mean, every part of Florida, Tampa, Miami. I mean, I've been on, both sides. Just curious, why Florida? Why not? I'm just throwing, South Carolina or Georgia or whatever. Why not other state? Why Florida? I'm just curious.
Because I do have some family there, but I do believe that Ron DeSantis will be governor there for quite some time. He's a great governor. I do not believe he's ready for president yet. He will be at some point, but I just feel it's a very safe state. They actually arrest people when they commit crimes. They don't let them out an hour later with no bail. There are penalties down there. Where we are, it feels like a very safe area.
In other words, to you, it's a well-governed, safe, prosperous state, a good place to put your stake in the ground, take care of yourself and your family, correct?
Question. Reading is not far from Boston. I will not even go into Boston anymore for anything. Once in a great while, I have to pick my daughter up at the airport, but short of 3 days from now, I'll never have to go back to Logan Airport again. The state of Massachusetts is just absolutely awful now. And Florida is great.
It's the new land of opportunity. You know the old expression, go west, young man, in the 19th century? Now it's becoming go to Florida, young man. Really. Everybody's going to Florida. Everybody.
A lot of wealthy people are moving to Florida. There's a lot to be said for that.
Well, yeah, investment, jobs, opportunity. There are so many parts of Florida really very clean. Like just very well kept, clean, safe, police everywhere. You're completely right. You do something wrong, they arrest you. They don't release you, after an hour, no bail. They enforce the law down there. It's orderly, but it's also very fun. Like places like Miami or whatever. It's hopping. If you like the night scene, you like the beach, you like the nightclubs, you like great food. Florida has, I don't want to sound like a brochure, a travel brochure, but really, it's got a lot to offer. To me, the best way to sum it up, it's the freedom state. If you want to be free and be who you are, go to Florida. You're free, but you're safe. I think that's the magic combination.
Like your previous caller said, it is full of diversity down there. If you go to Miami, you see everything. There is every different aspect of human beings there. They love where they are. They don't feel this way. It is 100% the media trying to portray it, trying to keep people from moving to Florida. It's not working. People are smart enough to make their own choices, and I cannot urge them enough.
Steve, please, Steve, don't be a stranger. I know you're going to Florida. Please don't be a stranger. Call again, my friend. Thank you, Steve. Good call. Really good call. First-time caller. Excellent call. 617. So in other words, he's not buying it. If he's moving. Now, I'm telling you, I'm not trying to be insulting, but I'm just telling you, according to the media, this is now the new media narrative, and the Dems, you want to move to Florida, you're a racist. In other words, Steve is a closet white supremacist. That's what they're going to say. If it's a terrorist, racist state, so all these people that are going to Florida, that's a dog whistle. These are racists. These are MAGA Republicans. So smear DeSantis by smearing Floridians and Florida. And you wonder why Florida is turning more and more and more red by the second. 617-266-6868. John in Danvers. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
John, welcome, my friend.
Jeff, I'll be glad to answer your poll question in a second, but it is my strongest belief that I think this administration is the largest profiting corporation in the world. Okay? If you have the right person to follow the right trail of breadcrumbs, you're going to find out that all of this missing money that we've been trying to account for like foreign aid, welfare, all of these advocates who basically in these committees and stuff like that, all of this missing money is being paid out to all individuals who are advocates for the Biden crime family. And I'll tell you right now, if you noticed, every person that needs to say something about Trump or anybody else on our side, they're not in arm's reach. They're not like next door to Washington. They're always like states away. And for some reason, the risk for someone who's a VIP in every state knows that by saying something, it jeopardizes their career politically. So they have to be being paid somewhere. And I believe the Biden family is the employers. And I seriously think that they're going to try to hit every state, every VIP of every state. Say, what about Nevada? Well, let's find out who that is. Let's get him paid. Let's get some of these people to stand up in every state to talk about just how bad Donald Trump is, and all of these people who I believe are all being paid handsomely, like people from the media, people who stand against Trump, all the advocates, everybody. I believe they're all being paid out, Jeff, and we just need to find out where and how. I think it's time that we really start digging a little deeper to find out just how bad this crime family really is. No one's going to say something without risking their career. And I believe it's just going statewide. What's your point, Jeff?
Oh, John, I think you're dead on. The only, I guess, slight disagreement I would have with you, I agree with you, obviously, but I think it's the Democratic Party. Look, all I can just tell you is this. My parents fled communist Eastern Europe. So I would go back. My parents would take me back occasionally to see why they had left. The Communist Party was all powerful. Everybody bent the knee to the Communist Party. Even individual leaders. It didn't matter. In the end, the party was even more important than them. So it's not so much it's a Biden crime family. There's no question. But look, take MSNBC. They're paid assassins for the Democratic Party. Take CNN. They're paid assassins for the Democratic Party. It's not so much that they're getting money from Biden. They're getting money from the Democrats. That's what butters their bread. So you look at the entire media. The Democratic Party has given out the order. It's like a mafia family. And the order now is you must destroy Ron DeSantis. And they think they were so successful in making Trump toxic, in making him unacceptable, in making him radioactive. Why? Because they painted him as a racist relentlessly. They can't say Trump without saying racist in the same sentence. So now they're trying the exact same playbook with Ron DeSantis. And by the way, they're doing it to Tim Scott. They're doing it to Nikki Haley. Anyone that is any kind of a center-right conservative. Now, Haley, Tim Scott, they're not my kind of Republican, but my point is, anybody that poses a threat, Nikki Haley's a minority. She's a woman and she's of Indian descent. She's brown-skinned. Tim Scott, African-American. Whoa, he's another Clarence Thomas as far as they're concerned. So anything that threatens their power, anything that threatens their grip on their electoral coalition, they lie. They smear. They savage. That's what they do. And the frightening thing is, I get why they're doing it. It's exactly what you said. They're paid to do it. They're paid assassins. It's the idiots on the ground who believe it. Now, you may not like their policies. I keep saying this over and over again. Jeff, I don't like Tim Scott's policies. I don't like Ron DeSantis' policies. I don't like Donald Trump's policies. That's fine. Okay, it's a free country. But they don't say that. They don't say he's wrong on A, B, C, D, E. Here's what they say. Fascist. Russia. Agent of the Kremlin. White supremacist. Hitler. The most extreme, polarizing, hate-filled attack you can possibly think of. And all that does is poison this country. This is not political differences. This is not political disagreements. I think candidate A has better policies than candidate B. This is hate, hate, hate. Foster as much hate, as much bile, as much resentment and bitterness and anger against not just candidates, but against fellow citizens. That's why I'm telling you, I've always said this. The Democrats are the enemy of the people. Not just the media. It's the Democratic Party. Because all they do is foster hatred and division. They exist to foster hatred and division. And seriously, John, when you just step back, really, I got to ask everybody, what have the Democrats ever done, ever, in the last 50, 60 years that is truly positive or constructive? No, really, where you can say that policy really helped America, really benefited the United States, really helped make the lives of ordinary people better. You can't name me one. Nobody can name me one. But man, look at them. They keep retaining power. It's all about retaining power, pitting people against each other, and getting rich in the process. And that these sheeple, these zombies, like the Bills in Sudbury and the Bens in North Andover, that they can't see that. As H.L. Mencken famously said about the United States, there's a sucker born every minute. And it's true. There's a sucker born every single minute. As Mencken put it, never underestimate the stupidity of the American people. Why anybody would vote for these charlatans and grifters is beyond me. It's beyond me.
Yeah, I have to retract that word. Positive and productive. It's negative and destructive. Look at the word Democrat. You got the very first part of that word, demo.
No, it's true. No, you're right. Yeah, you're right. John, I'm just curious, before I let you go, what do you make of the poll question? In other words, do you think now this all-out assault on Florida, on DeSantis, this travel ban. Do you think it's going to help him or hurt him in the long run?
So, again, this is one individual. You're not going to touch Florida. I've been there. My sister lives there. She finally moved back up here just because her husband, like I said, had a hard time adjusting to the weather. But for the most part, Florida is your scapegoat. It's basically it's the place to be when indeed you need to get away from this mayhem that's happening up here. It's the only thing people ever mention. Between that and South Carolina, it's a place that people are darting to. And as long as you keep hearing that, it tells you more and more what this state and every other, destructive Democratic state is trying to basically do to these people, do to us people. It just get away from it and go south.
You're right. You're dead on. You're absolutely dead on, John. John, thank you very, very much for that call. I mean, I don't want to repeat myself, but the famous motto in the 19th century was, go west, young man. In other words, out west, there's land, there's opportunity. It's, where the action is. And now it's go to Florida, young man. That's where the opportunity is. That's where the action is. Hell, it's why President Trump is in Florida. Everybody is now in Florida. 617-266-6868. Eric in Plymouth. Thanks for holding, Eric, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi.
Yeah, the Ponce de Leon state. This is Juicy Smollett, Charles Manson media. And this is what they do. Foment this, division, divide and conquer. Larry is brilliant, and Russ, and we got to get back to, they're irrational. You can't reason with them, with the media, and what they're doing.
Eric, whatever happened to really, this is the Democratic Party. These are our policies. This is our plank, our platform, our agenda. Here's what we stand for. You like us? Vote for us. Here's the Republicans. Here's what we believe. Here's our policies. Here's what we stand for. Vote for us. Instead, it's with the Democrats. You disagree with us, you're an enemy of the people. You're an enemy of the state. You're a terrorist. You're a white supremacist. You're a racist. You're evil. You're a threat to democracy. What is it with these Democrats? Like what, they can't handle the free exchange of ideas and free open political competition? I mean, Eric, doesn't this show how bankrupt the Democrats have become?
Yep. 100%. It's horrible.
Do you think this propaganda campaign, this fear-mongering against Florida, do you think it's going to work, Eric?
Nada. Nope. Another thing.
Eric, hang on. I'm going to come right back to you, and we'll finish this. I'll take more of your calls. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me throw this on the table, my friends. Obviously, have you been to Miami? Do you live in Miami? Do you live in Florida? Have you been to Florida? Do you recognize this picture of Florida that the Democrats, the media, the NAACP are now painting? Number one. Number two, do you think these journalists really believe, does the media really believe what they're saying about Florida? I mean, many of them have homes in Florida. They vacation, they party in Florida. Do you really, do they believe, let me ask you this, do you think they really believe that Florida is this white supremacist, homophobic, racist, bigoted state, a terrorist racial state, what they're now trying to portray and sell to their viewers and readers all across the country? Or are they lying? Consciously lying, making it up, knowing it's false propaganda, simply to destroy Ron DeSantis. Now, because DeSantis will officially announce to be the next to be a Republican primary nominee, a Republican presidential candidate, any day now. Do you believe this is why they are now openly lying and slandering Florida and all Floridians? 617-266-6868. I don't know if they're that crazy or if they're that cynical and diabolical. But lying, they are. To me, there's no question. Kevin in Framingham. Thanks for holding, Kevin, and welcome.
Morning, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Kevin?
I'm good. I just wanted to throw a little irony on this whole, the whatever, Alicia Moonback, I'll call her. I don't know what her last name was, but I find it ironic she's saying that she'll never go there. Didn't AOC say back when DeSantis was opening up the state that she would never go there? And then I think a month later she was caught down in Miami with her boyfriend sunning on the beach and stuff.
Yes, she vacationed and partied in Florida. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
1 month after she said she would never go there because it's too dangerous. You're going to get killed. You're going to die if you go to Florida. And 4 weeks later, she was on the beach in Florida.
Exactly. So it just shows the irony of the Democrats, or as I call them, the demon rats. But and the other thing, I don't think it's going to affect DeSantis at all because, I mean, he has brought people in from states that are more, I will say, white supremacist than he is, and people are running away from those states and going to his state. So I don't think it's going to affect them at all.
Kevin, I'm just curious, when an AOC comes out, when Sandy comes out and says, oh, he's opening Florida, we're all going to die, don't go to Florida. And then literally 4 weeks later, she's on the beach with her boyfriend, putting suntan lotion on his back, and he's putting suntan lotion on her back, and they're sipping pina coladas. Or the media now, they all love to go to Florida, all of them, are saying, oh my God, this is the Fourth Reich. It's rising right in front of our eyes. Are they just lying through their teeth? Is it just pure cynical lying? I don't believe it, but I'm going to say it to frighten and scare my people. Or do you think in their own crazy, whacked out way, they do believe what they're saying?
No, they don't believe anything that they are. It's fear mongering. That's all it is fear mongering. They're saying, it's the rules for me, but not rules for thee, but not for me. And I have to apologize to Florida. My brother, who is a huge liberal, recently moved down there. He lived up here all of his life, and liberal. Obviously, him and I do not see eye to eye political. But yeah, he moved down to Florida probably about a year and a half ago. Originally, it was only during the summer. Now he lives there full time. So just goes to show you, they really don't care. The Grim Reaper could be the governor of Florida, and people would still move there.
Kevin, I guess your brother didn't get the memo, huh? That he's going to a terrorist state? No, he didn't get that memo?
Nope, not at all. Nope. Living life down there, that's for sure.
Kevin, thank you very much for that call. It's just incredible. 617, racist, white supremacist. Oh, I'm moving tomorrow. How is down there? Oh, it's great. Really? Oh, taxes are low. There's no crime. Oh, the education system. Oh, you gotta see what a wonderful place Florida is to live. Yeah, you're gonna vote Ron DeSantis? That racist. He's Hitler. He's Hitler. Okay. Yeah, I want to go back to Eric. Sorry about that, Eric. Eric, So I just want to ask you this, my friend, because we were talking about it before the break. What do you think is going to happen now to Florida now that they're going after Ron DeSantis and really portraying it as, you know what? In fact, I'll tell you what, Eric, I hate to do this to you. I'm going to come back to Eric. I promise, Eric, I will come back to you this time. I want to ask Eric the ultimate question. Will Florida now become the poster boy for white supremacy in the United States? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let's go right back to Eric in Plymouth. Eric, are you still there, my friend?
Yes, I am, Jeff.
Okay, Eric, my apologies. We've kept you on way too long, but we're saving you for the best now. Here it is. $64,000 question. They're going to try to turn Florida into a poster child for white supremacy, racism, and MAGA terrorism. Will it succeed?
Nope. America is waking up. I believe it. It is so. It's the Decepticons. Excuse me. Like your protege said, a liberalism is a mental disorder. Michael Savage, the great Michael Savage. It is so, and we got to right the ship. We will. We will prevail. Good triumphs over evil. Love conquers hate. God bless America. Love America. Trust in America. Hug your children, and we'll get through this. Yes,
Eric, I'm just curious. DeSantis is going to announce tomorrow, after tomorrow, definitely the next couple of days. Do you think this hate campaign against him, this propaganda, is it going to hurt him at all? Regardless of whether you think he's better than Trump or Trump is better than him, just overall, in terms of his presidential campaign, do you think he's going to be hurt by this travel ban and this now relentless attack on him as a racist?
Well, they got corporate with Joe Thug Biden et al. You know that. So they're going to be beating their drums for naught. It's not going to work.
I agree. No, I agree, Eric. I completely agree with you. Eric, thank you so much. And again, thanks for holding on the line. I really appreciate it. 617-266-6868 is the number. I don't think it's going to work. And I'll tell you why it's not going to work. Too many people visit Florida. Too many people live in Florida. Too many people have family in Florida. And they're like, what are you going to, believe me or my lying eyes? I'm going to believe my eyes. I'm not going to believe you. What are you, nuts? So, and I just think it's getting old. I think Russ in Boston hit the nail on the head. People are really getting sick of the race card being played over and over and over and over again. Now, I just want to get this to you because I want to show you how pathetic this is all becoming. So, what is now the media? And I'm going New York Times, Boston Globe, and I'll come back to the Boston Globe in a second because it's very important. New York Times, Boston Globe, Washington Post, CNN, MSNBC, the Democratic National Committee, of course, now the NAACP. What are they all saying in unison, in lockstep? Florida is a racist white supremacist state. That, Boston Globe, oh my God, hey, it's the hotbed of white supremacy in America. Why? Because Trump has Mar-a-Lago and Ron DeSantis is the governor. Oh my God, no. Hey, avoid Florida at all costs. Okay. Breaking news. Get ready for this. Do you know which state now is becoming a quote-unquote hotbed for extremism? I swear to you. Breaking right now. Massachusetts. Quote, as anti-Semitic attacks and white supremacist activity escalate in Massachusetts, the Anti-Defamation League is imploring Beacon Hill policymakers to pass legislation to crack down on hate crimes and online harassment. So according now to a new report from the Anti-Defamation League, by the way, ultra-liberal group. But anyway, according to the ADL Center on Extremism, Massachusetts logged the country's 6th highest rate of anti-Semitic harassment. Apparently, according to the ADL, and I'd love to see what they categorize as an anti-Semitic incident. Oh, I'd love to see that. There were 152 anti-Semitic incidents last year, compared to 108 in the prior year, marking a 41% increase. In fact, it's so bad. Listen to this. 71 cities and towns experienced at least one anti-Semitic incident in 2022, according to the Anti-Defamation League report. But get ready for this one now, okay? We're not just a hotbed of anti-Semitism. Listen now to this. Trailing only Texas. I thought it was Florida. I thought Florida was the white supremacist state. No. They can't seem to get their story straight. Trailing only Texas, Massachusetts recorded the second highest number of white supremacist propaganda incidents last year. According to the report, and how do they categorize white supremacist? The distribution of white supremacist propaganda increased by 71% between 2021 and 2022, rising from 272 instances to 465. Largely attributed to groups like Patriot Front, the Nationalist Social Club, never heard of them, and the Goyim Defense League, never heard of them, according to the report. Quote, here it is. The ADL also labeled Massachusetts, check this out, a, quote, hotbed for anti-LGBTQ plus extremism. And why? Why? Because of hate incidents, including threats to Boston Children's Hospital surrounding gender-affirming care. So a couple of points, and then I want to go. So hold on. We have a lesbian governor. She's gay. She's a lesbian. We have a lesbian governor. This is a mecca on the East Coast for the LGBTQ plus community. We're probably, second to San Francisco in California? But according to them, no. It's a hotbed of extremism. Well, why is it a hotbed of extremism? Because people were complaining to Boston Children's Hospital that they're mutilating children, that they're engaging in puberty, giving them puberty blockers, chemical castration, sexual mutilation of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old kids. So if you oppose that policy and complain, guess what? We're now a hotbed for anti-LGBTQ plus extremism. We're number 2 in the country for white supremacy. What happened to Florida? Texas is number 1. So I don't understand. By the way, this is now under Biden. Trump's no longer president. So we have Biden in the White House. I don't understand this. The Hitler is gone. The fascist is gone. So Biden is the president. You have a Democrat governor, a lesbian. You have Democrat control of the state house, Democrat control of the state senate, Democrat control of the entire state, the entire congressional delegation. I don't understand. You control Channel 4, Channel 5, Channel 7, Channel 10, Channel 25, the Boston Globe, almost every media outlet. But it keeps rising and rising and rising. You're one of the bluest of the blue states in the country. I don't understand. And yet, we're number 2 in white supremacy. These people are insane. They're insane. In other words, look, you can never be blue enough. What this shows, you can never appease them enough. Really, I mean, seriously. I guess what now? Oh, Rachel Rollins, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Rachel Rollins was forced to resign because she literally violated the law. Oh, well, there's your white supremacy. Oh, I didn't see it. So, it doesn't matter how much progressive legislation you pass, how much one-party Democratic rule you have. It doesn't matter. All the diversity, inclusion, equity you want, all the woke liberalism you want, all of these universities, all of them, everyone pushing the LGBTQ plus agenda. It's still not enough. It's never enough. 8:48 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, the voice of the resistance, baby. Okay, let me throw this log on the fire. Huge report now out. The entire Boston, Massachusetts media is running wild with it. Now, forget Florida. The Florida was, I guess, yesterday. Now, Massachusetts. We are a hotbed for anti-LGBTQ plus extremism and white supremacy. Who would have thought it? Who'd thunk it? I want to ask you, if you live in Massachusetts, I was going to ask people from Florida to call. Well, now let me ask people from Mass. According to Maura Healey, she says this is the kind of hate we experience on a daily basis. What the report is showing is on a daily basis, people confront hatred for the LGBTQ community and white supremacy day after day, incident after incident. It's everywhere. Absolutely everywhere in Massachusetts. I don't understand. It's a Democrat state. How can this be? So is this what you experience on a daily basis? 617-266-6868 is the number. Or are we being again gaslighted? More manipulation, more propaganda, pushing a false narrative. Now, deep blue Massachusetts is the cradle of white supremacy. I've never heard anything more crazy or insane in my life. But these are the times we live in. 617-266-6868. Brooks in Florida. Thanks for holding, Brooks, and welcome.
Jeff, good morning. It's Brooks and Kim from Florida again.
Hi, Brooks. Nice to hear you. Nice to hear from you. What's on your mind?
Yeah, so Jeff, we were just sitting down and making a list of all the reasons why we left Marblehead and came to Southwest Florida. So, the journey for us was very simple in as much that I had worked as a TV producer in Massachusetts. Kimmy had a corporate job, and we just started seeing all the changes in New England. A very, very quick story. We had left Massachusetts and went further lib, Jeff, and went north to Maine. And Mid-Coast Maine. And we lived in this charming Norman Rockwell setting of a town. They literally, Jeff, took a Unitarian church and painted it black and posted Black Lives Matter on this beautiful white steeple church. Jeff, they had scripts of these LGBT movements whereby they were advocating for, if you go into a shop for money, they would ask you to donate to organizations like Out Maine. And Out Maine, literally, Jeff, without exaggeration, had these little posters on coffee shops with flags that were part of the transgender movement. One of the flags was called Twinks. You can look it up. Twinks is a individual that is attracted to children. And this, yeah, man, I'm telling you, it's real.
Pedophiles, child molesters. They're promoting pedophilia and molesting children.
Jeff, it's right there on the coffee shops. It was everywhere.
Ran from Maine and
Yeah.
ran to Southwest.
So now you're in Southwest Florida. Well, I got to ask you, I mean, I was going to say you're in the hotbed of white supremacy, but now it's Massachusetts. That's the hotbed of white supremacy. But, you know, I guess the media can't keep their story straight. How is it down there in Florida? A lot of lynchings?
Yeah, they tried to pull that crap with Alfie Oakes, who owns Seed to Table. You have to have him on your show. He's amazing. And so he kept everything open during COVID. We went shopping there. They had music. And then they tried to say he was a white supremacist. And they had Black Lives Matter go and do two, movements at his location. So all his workers, thousands of people came out. They're all, of different ethnicities, came out, hoisted him on his shoulders, and he said, "We love Alfie. We love Alfie."
Alfie Oakes is a grocer. Everybody in Southwest Florida knows him. He partners with General Flynn.
Ah, okay. By the way, who's the nice lady I'm speaking to?
This is my wife, Kim.
Hey,
Kim. Nice to hear from you. So I take it from you and your husband, you haven't spotted any, segregation, any racism, any white supremacy. How about crosses? Are they burning them? Apparently they're burning them like there's no tomorrow down there.
No, we are the thing is nobody really talks about racism except for the racist liberals that come down and they try to cause division because it's so peaceful and beautiful here. There's no problems. And, and we have great, Sheriff Grady from Polk County, who's not going to take any, crap that they try to start with any of the racial divisions or, crime or, so there's none of that here. It's a great place to be. That's the decision we made.
In both your voices, I can hear both of you sound very, very happy. Really, God bless you. God bless you, and thank you so much for calling. I really appreciate it. No, I think Kimmy said it best. It's peaceful. It's perfect. We love it down here. They have to create problems. In other words, it's freedom. We're living the American dream. Nah, we gotta wreck it. Gotta create problems. How else are we Democrats going to exist unless we create problems? Make up artificial fake problems. 617-266-6868. Pat in Waltham. Thanks for holding, Pat, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. It's so nice to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you, Pat. What's on your mind?
I have a niece that just graduated from college. She's a school counselor, and she heard that Florida. Now I don't know where it came from. Florida, it would be a bad place for her to go to work because there's a lot of school shootings, and I'm talking about recent ones, nothing in the past. This is recent. Have you heard it?
Yeah, no, Pat, it's the opposite. Florida has very few school shootings. I believe there were none this year so far. None. Yeah, there have been shootings, yes. I mean, there's some crime in Florida, like in every other state in the union, but not at a school. There have been no school shootings. Now, there was a big one, obviously, a couple years ago, but generally you don't have big school shootings in Florida.
And I said, I know who to call to find out. Thank you very much.
Pat, it's more disinformation, more lies. Pat, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868. Look, Florida has its problems, like every state. Nothing is perfect. But you don't have to invent problems. You don't have to invent stuff. You know, what it shows is they have to make stuff up to get DeSantis. That means his governing has been pretty good. You know, Florida is a well-run state. I'm sorry, it is. You know, and exactly, Sandy, to stop people from moving there. Because think about it. What's the most damning indictment of their entire narrative? If Florida is so awful and so racist and so bigoted and so mismanaged and, so authoritarian, well, why is everybody pouring in to go live there? Why is everybody wanting to move there? Of all colors, all races, all backgrounds. Yeah, exactly. Why are they leaving the bastion they're leaving California to go to Florida? I mean, it's not for the weather. California has incredible weather, so it's not for the weather. Tell me, why are they leaving New York City? According to Bill de Blasio, Big Bird, the previous mayor, it's the greatest city in the world. And I'm not going to beg anyone to stay in the greatest city in the world. Well, why would people want to leave the greatest city, according to them, the greatest city in the world? 500,000 just last year alone. Here, Massachusetts. Why are so many now, hundreds of thousands, pouring out of Massachusetts? South Carolina is getting some. I'm not saying it's all to Florida, but a lot of it is going to Florida. Why? I mean, just why? He must be doing something right down there. 617-266-6868 is the number. Dan, speaking of Florida, Dan in Florida. Thanks for holding, Dan, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. Good to talk to you this morning.
Dan.
Hey, so I am president of a real estate trade group out of Jacksonville. So I have a pretty good handle on what's going on. So we, in the Jacksonville market, we're welcoming 80 new families per week into Jacksonville. 80 new homes, new people coming into Jacksonville. That's
Hold
pretty...
on, Dan. What do you mean? You mean a month?
No, per week.
A week.
Dan.
Holy shamoly.
Yeah. So where I live in Jacksonville, within a 5-mile radius. Within a 5-mile radius, there are 28,000 new home permits. Think about that.
That's incredible.
28,000 new home permits, right? So we're welcoming everybody. But the scary thing is, Jeff, right? It's beautiful. My neighborhood, I've been there since 2012. My neighborhood has become super diverse. I mean, very diverse. I've got, Asians, black people moving in, all great people. A lot of people are retiring to there. A lot of people just saying, hey, I can't raise my family in these, blue states. I have, 3 people that I do business with there are all out of New York. They left New York because of the lockdowns and what it was doing to their children. So that said, I've been calling you, giving you the updates on the difference between Massachusetts and Virginia and Florida and how night and day it was during the pandemic, right? But so the scary thing is, though, because we're bringing so many people in Jacksonville, we just elected our own version of Lori Lightfoot as mayor.
No.
Yes, we did.
Ugh.
Yes, we did. Last week, Donna Deegan, who has done, and please don't take this personally, Jeff, because I think you'd make a great president. But all she's ever done has been on the news. And that was years ago. Has really done nothing since. Considers herself a community activist, but we don't even know where she did any community activities. Very, very, very scary. Very scary. So please, if you're coming to Florida, please leave your politics back in.
Don't ruin it. Don't ruin it. Oh, I'm so with you. Dan, I got to ask you, obviously you live there parts of the year. You've been there since 2012. The portrait now the media is painting of this white supremacist stronghold, of a racial terrorist state, that if you're LGBTQ, you'll be hunted down. If you're black, you're facing segregation, oppression. I mean, it's so bad that the NAACP is telling everybody, don't go to Florida. They've issued a travel ban. Have you witnessed anything like this? In other words, or are they completely making it up?
It's not. But Jeff, let's talk about what the media campaigns on Florida, right? Last year it was "Don't say gay," right? Come to Florida, you can't say the word gay. That was the Parental Rights Act, right? Which was signed into law, bipartisan by the Florida House, and it basically said under the age of 9 you can't talk sexuality of any kind to children in school. What was wrong with that, Jeff? Do you want your 5-year-old coming home from school learning what heterosexual or bisexual or homosexual love is? No, of course not. That was last year. Beginning of this year, what was the big thing in Florida, Jeff? Seaweed is going to invade Florida. Seaweed. Seaweed comes ashore every year, Jeff. Every year. Seaweed is what rebuilds the dunes. All right? This year it was seaweed. Don't go to Florida beaches to seaweed. I was on Florida beaches last week. There were no problems there, Jeff. There was no additional seaweed. People are crazy, and it's all the media hype. Obviously it's DeSantis, but it was the rest of, the rest of the Florida contingency. Rubio, Scott, Gates, Donaldson, right? These people are all making a name for themselves as in a practical way with the American people, and that's scaring the heck out of the media.
You nailed it. As always, Dan, you absolutely nailed it. Dan, thank you so much for that call. 617-266-6868 is the number. David in Woburn. Thanks for holding, David, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, David.
Jeff, this could actually work in our advantage. For example, if the migrants who are coming across the border through Florida know it's a racist in a Hitler-type state, they might not want to come.
Well, that's exactly, David, it's funny you should say that because I've been getting a lot of texts on this very point. They're like, well, someone should tell the illegals. There's a travel ban. The NAACP says it's too racist for people of color. So tell the illegals, go somewhere else.
Yeah, go somewhere else. It can't be here because we're too racist. We're too racist. So maybe we don't need to build a wall there because they might stay out.
Well, now the problem, you see, David, is what do we do about Massachusetts now? Because according to this new report that Healy is praising, it's just to be so absurd. We have a lesbian governor, the first, lesbian gay governor in the history of Massachusetts. And she's now touting a report that says Massachusetts, quote unquote, is a hotbed for anti-LGBTQ plus extremism, David. White supremacy, we're number 2, and homophobia, we're number 6. So, David, what do we do about Massachusetts now? I think we should tell the illegals, don't come here. We're too racist here as well.
Well, the thing is, I look to see if there's any money behind that. Sometimes there's federal funds and money driving those type of studies in pressures that have money behind it. And if we're a very racist, not a racist, but a homophobic state, we'll get more money from the federal government.
I think you're onto something. There's got to be a scam involved. Because this is so ridiculous. This is so preposterous. There are gay pride events all the time. In almost every town, every city, every school, every university, every college. I mean, it's a statement of fact. I'm not, saying one thing. I'm not making a judgment. I'm just stating a fact. And never in my life, and I've met, in the news business, a lot of gay people. That's just how it is. I've never heard one. Sandy, have you ever heard one gay person ever say, "Oh my God, Massachusetts, I don't know how I survive here"? I've never heard of this. It's like being in San Francisco, and and there's a huge gay community, and they're like, "Oh, San Francisco, oh man, if you're gay, boy, don't walk out your door." It's just, I mean, now they're so lying to our face. I mean, how much more obvious do you want to make it? David, thank you so much for that call. I really appreciate it. I mean, this is like, really, it's like under communism now. It's like, come on, now you're insulting us. I mean, these aren't even good lies, crafty lies, sophisticated lies. I mean, so now this is apparently where the KKK is. Sorry, the Patriotic Front, according to this ADL report. So they saw some literature. They saw a few pamphlets. There was some march. 12 people show up at a march. And all of a sudden now, number 2, only Texas. Only Texas beats us on the white supremacy front. 617-266-6868 is the number. And, instead of defending the state, what the governor should, it's Healy. I know what we're dealing with. But instead of saying, this is preposterous, this is ridiculous. Look, hey, I'm lesbian and I'm the governor. Like, come on, get lost. Come on, We're trying to force the transgender curriculum down everyone's throat. What do you mean it's a hotbed of anti-LGBTQ extremism? No. Let me translate the report. Jeff Kuhner broadcasts from Boston. That's the report. Okay? The Kuhner report. That's it. You got this guy with a super popular show up in Boston, and he's killing us left-wingers. He's killing us liberals up here. So, white supremacy, what are you talking about? Him. Get him. There, that's the report. But I'm not, according to what my sources, I don't think I'm mentioned in the report. The Nationalist Social Club, what? The Goyim Defense League, what? The Patriot Front, I'm telling you, that's a front for the FBI. They cover their faces, they have their khakis, their blue shirts, they scream feds. So they roll them out in D.C., they roll them out whenever they need them. So that's their 3 examples. And, population of, what is it, 6-7 million here in Massachusetts. And suddenly now, whoa, here we go. Up now it's apartheid. Now we're the South Africa of the North. Florida's the South Africa of the South. We're the South Africa of the North. I guarantee you it's because of me and this show. I guarantee it. 617-266-6868. He's ultra MAGA. It's out of control up there in Boston. Kelly, in Boca, Florida. Kelly, very nice in Boca. How are you, Kelly?
Hi, how are you? I am so on fire. When I got the report on my phone last night, and then I woke up and you were talking, I was so happy. So I grew up on the North Shore in Danvers, and my husband and I raised the children in Newburyport and Merrimack, and we have 6 children. We moved here 2 years ago because we just had to get out. We couldn't be an Irish Catholic family in Massachusetts anymore. And I listen to you every morning. I go to Dunks with my windows down, and you're blaring, and all the old men are just like giving me high fives. I'm not afraid to listen to you. I'm not afraid for everyone around me to hear what you're saying. I dropped my daughter off at preschool. It's the United Nations in there. I'm the only Irish Catholic girl. Like, it's the least racist place I've ever been. And that's all I keep saying to my husband is, oh my God, the children are getting so much diversity. It keeps on in my head, diversity, so much love from everybody. It's insane what they're saying. It's the complete opposite. We all walk around like we're on a bubble because we're so happy to be here and so happy we're not dealing, and we're waiting for you, Jeff, to come, because this is where you belong, Jeff. Massachusetts is all done.
Well, you know, Kelly, I mean, I may retire, but I mean, how can I be Boston's bulldozer in Florida, Kelly? You see my dilemma? You know, I mean, unless you want me to become Florida's bulldozer, I think you want to go to Florida, my friend. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, very, very quickly, I want to just play this cut from Tim Scott. He's senator, obviously, from South Carolina. He is a black Republican. He is a direct descendant of slaves here in the United States. And by the way, he does not want reparations. He thinks the whole idea is obscene and absolutely ridiculous. Now, the reason why, look, I'm not backing Tim Scott. He's not my kind of Republican. I think he's a very nice man and a successful man. There's no question. But, you know, I'm MAGA Trump all the way, baby. I'm America first all the way. But what the Democrats are trying to do is they want to sow racism and division. The reason why they're going after Florida, frankly, even now this ridiculous report on Massachusetts, it's they can't live without racism and division. They want you unhappy. They want you discontented, bitter, disenchanted. They don't like it if you're happy and successful and fulfilled. Then they can't thrive because they have nothing to offer you. Now, whatever you think of Tim Scott, and I really believe ultimately, yes, he's running for president, but I think ultimately I think he's looking at maybe becoming Trump's VP. Who knows? We'll see. It was beautiful. Whatever you think about him, he was on stage yesterday, was in North Charleston. His mother, he was raised by a single mother. His father basically left the family when he was 7 years old. She worked 2 jobs, 16 hours a day to put food on the table, a roof over his head, as he put it, to keep the lights on. And she told him again and again, you're not a victim. Do not see yourself as a victim. And if you work hard and have personal responsibility and do, clean living, stay away from drugs, stay away from alcohol, don't stay away from bad influences, you will rise. There is no limit in America. And here you have a man who not only was, first he got himself a business in real estate, in insurance, my bad. He founded his own insurance company. He then became a member of Congress. Now he is a powerful U.S. senator. And yesterday, he announced his candidacy for president of the United States. And his message was one of sheer optimism. If you believe in hard work, if you believe in personal responsibility, if you believe in freedom, if you believe in the American dream, you can achieve your God-given potential in this country, regardless of the color of your skin. Listen now to Tim Scott saying, my life experience is living proof that America is the land of opportunity. Roll cut 32, Mike.
I was 7 years old when my parents divorced. We moved in with my grandparents. My mom and my brother, we all three shared one bed and one bedroom in that 700 square foot rental home. But my grandfather said to me, son, you can be bitter or you can be better, but you can't be both. You see, he chose patriotism over pity. He focused on the windshield of his life and not on the rearview mirror. And today, I'm living proof that America is the land of opportunity and not a land of oppression.
I mean, look, I'll tell you this. Again, I'm Trump, and number 2 is DeSantis. I just want you to know I'm upfront about my politics. But he's got one hell of a barn burner speech. He's got a very good stump speech. He's got a very good story to tell. There's no question. And he is the living refutation of all the liberal lies, like Clarence Thomas. And now he must be destroyed. You know, think about it. Instead of celebrating, instead of saying, you know, boy, you know, this is the South, South Carolina. Well, in the 50s and 60s, under segregation, this was literally impossible. So we've come a long way in America. Instead of saying that, and what a role model, and what an example he is to all of us, not just blacks, all of us. Instead of celebrating him and saying, okay, bravo, bravo. By the way, Trump, uncharacteristically, because I think he likes and admires Tim Scott, especially his story. You know, they asked him, hey, well, you know, Trump didn't attack you. Trump said, you know, I wish him the best of luck. Like, really, I want the guy to do well. He's a nice guy. I don't agree with him, but he's a nice guy. Listen now to The View. And in particular, Sonny Hostin, a black moonbat, and Whoopi Goldberg, a black moonbat. Look how they tear this man down. It's sickening. But this is what the media now is going to do to him. Roll cut 35. Mike.
But I think one of the issues that Tim Scott has is that he seems to think because I made it, everyone can make it. Ignoring, again, the fact that he is the exception and not the rule. And until he is the rule, then he can stop talking about systemic racism.
He's got Clarence Thomas syndrome. But I do think that he...
Clarence Thomas syndrome? I mean, this is sickening. This really is. By the way, you know, look in Fortune 500 companies. Hell, go to Florida. Look how many blacks own businesses. Look how many blacks are members of Congress. Look how many blacks have been achieving all across. This idea, oh, here's the exception. Actually, no, he's not the exception. There are many like him. But more than that, his story gives the lie. There is no systemic racism, because if there was, Tim Scott wouldn't be where he is today. So now they have to tear this poor man down. Already, he's an Uncle Tom. He's what they call, forgive me, an Oreo, black on the outside, white on the inside. Among progressive liberals, they're using the N-word. They're calling him the N-word. For what? For being successful? For working hard and achieving his dreams and never giving up? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me ask you. Now the NAACP has issued, this is incredible, a travel ban, and a formal travel advisory telling everyone to boycott Florida, don't vacation, don't go there, no tourism, no conventions, avoid Florida. Why? It is a racist, white supremacist state. And they're doing this in order to go after DeSantis, because it now is inevitable. He will announce for the candidacy for president of the United States this week, probably tomorrow or Thursday at the latest. So, will this smear campaign work? Number one. Number two, now Massachusetts. There's a new massive report from the Anti-Defamation League saying, yep, we're a hotbed for white supremacy and anti-LGBTQ extremism. If you can believe it. How far will they go? How much will they, why do they continue to want to foment sheer division and discontent? Even when clearly, like Massachusetts, you have one of the most blue progressive states in the country. You couldn't be more welcoming to the LGBTQ community. You just couldn't, with a lesbian governor to top it off. And still, they have to foment discontent, division, and misery. Will this work, or will people finally start to catch on? And to all the liberals out there, I want to invite you, I really do, do you believe Massachusetts has now become the cradle of white supremacy in the United States? Maura Healey amazingly says yes. I say you're all insane. What do you say? 617-266-6868 is the number. So far, no liberal has called. I wonder why. Kenny in Weston. Thanks for holding, Kenny, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Kenny.
Hey, here's the thing. You take it from 35 feet down to 4 feet. Here's the bottom line, is that you get all these liberals, and when they say white supremacists, we live in Weston. So my point is that all these towns, I mean, I never heard any white supremacists from Concord, and I mean, there's been no signs of it. So my point is that why are they perpetrating? I mean, it's insane, just like crazy.
No, I mean, it is. It's. Look, how do I say this? It would be akin to saying, that Massachusetts is a hotbed for people who despise the NFL, who hate the New England Patriots. You'd be like,
right.
What? Are you normal? Haven't you gone to Gillette Stadium? I mean, yeah, you might meet one or two people here or there who don't care for football. But come on, this is a football mad state. So, look, just stand back, really. The Democrats control the governorship. They control Beacon Hill, all of it. They control the entire judicial system, the entire congressional delegation, Warren, Ed Markey. I could run down the whole list. Now, and we're still white supremacists? And we're still all a bunch of homophobes? Like, in other words, if you're LGBTQ plus, there's a target on your head? You're lucky you don't get massacred on the street? In other words, they keep fomenting problems, division, dissension, worry, hysteria. I'm telling you, I know many gays. I know many couples. They're happy in Massachusetts. They love it in Massachusetts. They're happy as clams in Massachusetts. But no, you have to make them feel like they're under siege. And by the way, you've got Biden running the country. The evil orange man is gone. But they don't stop. They never will stop. You can never be blue enough. And I'm hoping that people can finally realize this thing is a game. It's a sham. It's a big con. That's all this is. Keep the fear-mongering. Keep the grievance-mongering. Don't stop or let up. Because that's the only way they can cling to power. If this governor had any scintilla of self-respect, she would come out and say, this report is pure garbage. Pure garbage. Like, seriously, we got real problems in this state. This is not one of them. Instead, there she is, lying through her teeth. Everybody, just what I said, everybody, every community, everybody has experienced hate on a day-to-day basis in this state. What are you talking about? What hate have you? You just got elected governor. What hate are you talking about? I mean, there's a certain point, Kenny, where we have to say, you know what, really, take your bull, you know what, take your bull crap and shove it up you know where.
Hello?
Kenny, go ahead, my friend.
No. Here's the thing. I would challenge anybody. We live out here in Wayland and Weston. Come out here, Wayland, Weston, Needham, Newton. Pick the towns. Everybody. And let me tell you, and this is where you got to go ahead, and with the cameras rolling, just say, okay, have you guys experienced white supremacist hate out here or whatever? I mean, here's the thing is that it is so sickening.
Oh, it really is. No, look, Kenny, laugh at him. That's the only response. Just laugh at him. Seriously, just laugh at him. Boy, you guys are really desperate, huh? Really desperate to get votes, huh? Boy, oh boy, really desperate. Kenny, thank you very much for that call. Oh, really, look, here. I want to ask all of you, whatever city or town you live in, forget Massachusetts, because we have an audience, as you know, big audience across the entire country. Are there any white supremacists in your city or town? No, really, honestly. I mean, racism now has become so verboten, so forbidden. I look at my own children. You know, people talk about living in Florida, how diverse the schools are. And I look at my children. Here, we had friends over last night. I mean, if you want to get technical, brown skin, they're Arab. They're from Lebanon. Or they're of Lebanese descent, to be more accurate. Some of Ashton's closest friends, Asian, of Chinese descent. One of Ava's closest friends, black. Another one is Brazilian. I mean, when I look at my children and who their friends are, it's every race, color, ethnic background under the sun. Like, stop it with this constant racism garbage and white supremacy. Like, just stop it. You know, I can maybe understand in the South, obviously, 60, 70, 80, 90 years ago. Yes, of course. But come on, this is, you know, like, really now, this has been 40 years of garbage. And now, and, you know, and notice, the more African Americans rise, the more people of color rise, the more they keep playing the race card. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. So now you have Tim Scott running for president of the United States. You have Kamala Harris as the vice president. Obama was the president, first a white majority country to elect a black man or whatever. He's biracial. How many black secretaries of state? How many black secretaries of defense? How many people that, you know, in leading Fortune 500 companies? Like, there has to be a certain point where you go, you know, that dog won't hunt. Like, maybe try to put something that's going to help, you know, uplift the country and make it better. Would it kill you to come up with a couple of good policy ideas? Could you guys try that? I don't know. Secure the border? Energy independence? I'm just thinking out loud. How about we lower the crime rate a little bit so people aren't getting shot everywhere? Especially in big blue cities like New York or Chicago or Boston. Have you guys thought of that? Maybe, I don't know. Do a little something that helps the community? Instead, nope. Nope. Race card, or in this case, now it's the LGBTQ card. Keep playing that card. Don't stop playing that card. Sow division, dissent, discontent, because the worst thing for a Democrat or a liberal is if people are happy and successful. Then they're miserable. Your happiness is their misery. Chris, speaking of Florida, in Tampa Bay. Thanks for holding, Chris, and welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Kuhner. How are you?
Very good. How are you, Chris?
Good. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Welcome.
Welcome. So I got a different take on Florida. It is very racist. And I implore all the liberals, don't come here. Don't come to Florida. And if you're here, leave. It's bad. We don't want you here. Us conservatives, we're behind enemy lines. It's too late for us. So, sorry.
Chris, can you do me a favor? I'm up against a hard break. Can you hang on? I want to come right back to Chris. He's saying, no, you're right. You're right. It's so racist. Don't come. 617-266-6868 is the number. Chris, let's go right back to Chris in Tampa Bay. So, Chris, what you're saying is you want the message out to all the liberals and moonbats. Yes, Florida, very racist state. Don't come. And if you're living in Florida and you're a lib, leave. Leave before the KKK gets you. Right, Chris?
You hit it right on the nose. My wife and I, we moved down to Florida from New Hampshire in December. And, yeah, I'll be honest. Well, I mean, one of the main reasons, obviously, is the weather. But Really loved what Ron DeSantis was doing in the state and how he was running the state. But I tell you, we live in a northwest town, suburb of Tampa, and when I go to a Publix, I'm a Caucasian guy. I'm the minority when I go to the Publix. When I go to the Walmart, I mean, there is people of color everywhere. It's probably 90% when I go to a Publix, and everybody's just love and light. When I go to the beaches, there's people of color everywhere enjoying the racist beaches, enjoying the racist blue waters and the racist sun of Florida, and they're having a great time, And so it's for people to say, and we all know what it is, they're doing everything they can to tarnish Ron DeSantis and attack Ron DeSantis. And who's paying for that? The rest of us. And it's out of control.
Chris, Chris, this is my worry. They were able to dirty Trump and damage him considerably, especially with liberals and many Democrats. They hate him. I mean, they're foaming at the mouth. They really do have Trump derangement syndrome. Do you think they can make DeSantis as toxic as they've made Trump by constantly attacking him, vilifying him as a racist, a bigot, a homophobe, a transphobe, a white supremacist? Do you think it's going to work? Or do you think, nah, you're going to the well one too many times? People just will no longer believe you.
Never listen to DeSantis. He does not put up with the malarkey. And one of your other callers referenced Sheriff Grady from Polk County. He's another one that just doesn't put up with the malarkey. He calls it as he sees it. And then that's how DeSantis is. And that's how Trump is. Trump has a little bit more colorful way of doing things and saying what he's got to say, but DeSantis just, he doesn't put up with it. So I guess my question is, I understand that there's a First Amendment rights and everybody has a right to say whatever they want, but at what point is it too much? At what point do the people turn around and start suing these media outlets and The Views for defamation of character? Because it seems like no matter how much they spew all this hate, they just get away with it and nobody fights back. At some point, these people have to be taught a lesson that they can't go around spewing all this hatred and this vitriol towards people when they don't even, half these people that spew this stuff about Ron DeSantis, they never even listen to him. If he talks to a liberal, they'll say, I turn it off when he's on. I won't even listen to these people. I won't listen to Trump. Well, how do you know what he's saying unless you're being pumped this information by another person saying, oh, he's this, that, and the other, and you're going to go, oh, yeah, he's this,
Oh, you're dead on. Chris, you're dead on. No, it's even worse. Many of them they vacation in Florida, or they have a second home in Florida, or they're always, partying in Florida. So, as you put it, they know there are no racist beaches or, racist restaurants or racist water, or they know it's garbage. They know it's garbage. And it's pure defamation. It's deliberate lying. They are lying to destroy and undermine his character. That's what this is all about. So you're completely right. At what point do you say enough is enough? Stop with the defamation and the lies. Because it's poisoning our country. Chris, great call. Great call, and I hope you continue to enjoy Tampa Bay. 617-266-6868. Sean in Lowell. Thanks for holding, Sean, and welcome.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure.
Jeff, great show today. The bulldozer's on fire. I was so happy. This was one of the better days, like an upbeat day. You know what I mean? We didn't get caught down in some of the negativity things, and so it was really uplifting until I heard those skunks from The View and threw up in my mouth. But I mean, you have to show that. And you have to play that. But I get it. But Jeff, I went up to New Hampshire, and I love it up there. I got very fortunate. I landed in a good spot. My lovely girlfriend, and we're up near the beach in Seabrook. But my concern is how so during 2022 election, I kind of had a foot in each state. So I'm really looking forward to getting involved in New Hampshire politics and keeping an eye on things to prevent it from becoming Massachusetts. You just can't have these things happen to these good states that are still hanging around and trying to stay red. And I'll give you a quick, perfect example. I know you're up against it, but I was driving, running some errands, and I saw all these people out in the rally. I saw Trump flags, American flags, Brandon flags, everything. So I pulled over and I get out and I started talking to them. Lo and behold, who did I meet? But a lovely patriot, Kirsten, Saturday up in Seabrook.
Oh, how's she doing?
Let me tell you something, Jeff. We talked about your show, and one of her best friends is Mags that calls in. I love her in a non-sexual way. That lady has got more heart and more, I spent about 15 minutes talking to her, and boy, when I left there, you talk about just being rejuvenated and in a nice place and in a happy place. But that woman was she's really an amazing person. That's all I
Sean,
could
if you don't mind me asking, we've got about a minute left. I got to ask you this because tomorrow I think will be a heavily political day. But Chris Sununu, the Rhino governor of New Hampshire, now says more likely than not he's going to throw his hat in the ring. How well do you think he'll do in New Hampshire against Trump, against DeSantis, against those heavyweights?
No, I don't think Sununu will do well at all. He's an R in appearance only. You know what I mean? He's not conservative enough at all.
Sean, in a way, I hope he runs because I'd love for him to get obliterated, absolutely crushed. And I know Chris Christie is going to announce this week as well, and he's going to make his stand in New Hampshire. He's basically going to live in New Hampshire. So he's got a couple of big donors. They're going to pump him with money, and then they're going to let him hit the buffet tables and then just campaign in New Hampshire for months and months and months. I hope they all run, and I hope they all get destroyed. Bye-bye.